I stood frozen in the hallway, my mother's words piercing through the thin walls of our family home. It's just Natasha. She'll understand if we cancel the vacation. She always does. My name is Natasha, and I've spent 29 years being just Natasha to my family. The invisible daughter, the reliable one, the one who would understand. But what about the deposit we already paid for the beach house? My father's voice carried through. We've been doing this family vacation for 15 years. Douglas says Simone's wedding venue alone is costing a fortune, my mother replied. And you know how special this is for her. She's been dreaming of her perfect day since she was little. I pressed my back against the wall, my hands clenching into fists. Of course, Simone, my cousin, the family's golden child, was getting married in 3 months, and apparently that meant everything else had to revolve around her wishes. Hey, sweetie! My mother's voice startled me as she emerged from the living room. I didn't hear you come in. You never do, I muttered under my breath. What was that? Nothing! I forced a smile. Just stopped by to drop off those family photos you wanted for Simone's wedding slideshow. My mother's face lit up. Oh, perfect. Simone will be so pleased. She's been stressed about getting everything together. The venue is gorgeous, but it's really stretching everyone thin. So thin that we're canceling the annual vacation? The words tumbled out before I could stop them. Her expression fell. Oh, you heard that. Kinda hard not to. Honey, you know how important this is for Simone. And you're so good with money, always saving. Unlike some people. She gave me that look, the one that suggested I should be grateful for my sensible nature, even though it was the very thing that made them take me for granted. My phone buzzed. A text from Rosalie. Still on for drinks? I have to go, I said, already heading for the door. Meeting Rosalie. Wait, Natasha! My father called out, appearing in the hallway. We should talk about this. Nothing to talk about. I understand. I always do, right? The drive to the Copper Pot, my usual meeting spot with Rosalie, was a blur of angry tears and white-knuckled steering wheel gripping. When I arrived, she took one look at my face and ordered 2 martinis. Spill, she commanded, sliding one glass toward me. They're canceling the family vacation to help pay for Simone's wedding, I said, taking a long sip. 15 years of tradition, gone, because Princess Simone needs the perfect venue. Rosalie's eyes widened. The Bellamy estate? That's where she's having it, right? I nodded, a bitter laugh escaping my lips. The irony is killing me, Roz. Are you going to tell them? Tell them what? That their invisible daughter actually owns the venue they're breaking the bank to rent? I shook my head. They don't even know about my business partnership with Caleb. They think I'm still just pushing papers at that accounting firm. My phone buzzed again. Caleb this time. Contract's ready for Simone's wedding. Need your signature. Weird signing a venue contract for your own cousin. You know? Rosalie said slowly, stirring her martini. You could just tell them no, it's your venue. And prove them right about being the family disappointment? No thanks. I took another sip, an idea forming in my mind. But maybe there's another way? Natasha, Rosalie's voice carried a warning note. What are you thinking? Nothing yet. I pulled out my phone and texted Caleb back. Let's meet tomorrow. I have some special requirements for this event. Just then, my phone lit up with a group text from Simone to the entire family. Everyone! Just booked the perfect venue, the Bellamy Estate. Mom and Uncle Bennett, thank you so much for making this happen. Can't wait to marry Jude in the most beautiful place ever. The responses flooded in immediately. Heart emojis, congratulations, excited messages about how she deserved it. I showed the thread to Rosalie, who let out a low whistle. Oh, this is going to be interesting. You know what the funny thing is? I said, finishing my martini. They're all so busy fawning over Simone, they never even asked what I've been doing with my life these past few years. Never wondered how I could afford my new house, or why I changed jobs. And now? I smiled, feeling a calm settle over me for the first time that day. Now they're about to find out, all of them, at the perfect moment, in the perfect venue. To the perfect revenge, Rosalie raised her glass. I clinked mine against hers. To finally being seen. The Bellamy Estate's wrought iron gates swung open as I pulled up in my car. Even after 2 years of co-owning this place, the grandeur still took my breath away. The morning sun caught the Victorian mansion's windows, making them gleam like diamonds. "There's my favorite silent partner," Caleb called out from the front steps. His suit was impeccable as always, but his grin was pure mischief. "Ready to plan your cousin's perfect day?" "Just show me the contract," I said, following him inside. The main foyer echoed with our footsteps as we walked to his office. Through the windows, I could see the gardeners preparing the rose garden, Simone's chosen ceremony spot. "So," Caleb said, settling behind his desk, "want to tell me why you're charging your own family full price plus the premium package fee?" I picked up the contract, scanning the numbers. "Because they don't know they're my family." "Nat. Don't nat me. You weren't there yesterday." I dropped into the chair across from him. "You didn't hear them cancel our family vacation like it was nothing." "Fair enough." He leaned forward. "But what's your end game here?" Before I could answer, voices drifted in from the hallway. I recognized them immediately. Simone and her fiancé, Jude, arriving for their first official tour. "Quick," Caleb whispered, "in the connecting office." I slipped through the side door just as they entered Caleb's office. Through the thin wall, I could hear everything. "Mr. Dawson!" Simone's voice dripped with honey. "Thank you so much for fitting us in today." "Please, call me Caleb. Shall we begin the tour?" I pressed my ear against the wall, listening to their footsteps fade, then pulled out my phone to text Rosalie. "At the venue. S is here for her tour. Hide and seek like I'm 12 again." Her response was instant. "Except this time, you own the hiding spot." I waited a few minutes before sneaking out to follow the tour group. From behind a massive floral arrangement, I watched Simone flutter around the grand ballroom, Jude trailing behind her like a lost puppy. "And these chandeliers?" she gushed. "Daddy, aren't they just perfect?" I hadn't even noticed my Uncle Douglas was there until he spoke. "Whatever makes you happy, Princess. Though the price tag is quite steep. But worth every penny," Caleb smoothly interjected, catching my eye across the room before quickly looking away. "The Bellamy estate is quite exclusive." "Speaking of exclusive," Simone said, "I heard the mysterious owner never shows up to events. Is that true?" I had to bite my lip to keep from laughing. The mysterious owner story was something Caleb and I had cultivated deliberately. It added to the venue's allure, and more importantly, it kept my involvement hidden. "The owner prefers to remain private," Caleb replied diplomatically, "but they're very involved in operations." "How fascinating," Simone mused. "Maybe they'll make an exception for my wedding. It is going to be the event of the season, after all." "Oh, I can guarantee the owner will be there," Caleb said, and I could hear the smile in his voice. My phone buzzed again. A message from my mother. "Simone's touring the venue today. Isn't it exciting? Maybe you could help with some of the planning? You're so good with details." I typed back, "Sure, Mom, I'd love to help plan things at the Bellamy estate." The tour continued to the garden, and I followed at a safe distance. Watching Simone twirl among the roses I'd personally selected 2 years ago, I felt a strange mix of anger and satisfaction. "The garden will be perfect for the ceremony," she declared. "Though these white roses, could they be pink instead?" "The garden design is fixed," Caleb said firmly. "The owner is quite particular about maintaining the estate's aesthetic." Simone's face fell slightly. "Oh, well, I suppose white is classic." After they left, I emerged from my hiding spot and found Caleb waiting in his office. "You enjoyed that way too much," I accused. He shrugged. "Can you blame me? It's not every day I get to play double agent." His expression turned serious. "But Natasha, are you sure about this? Once you reveal yourself at the wedding." "I've spent my whole life being invisible to them," I said, picking up the contract. "Always in Simone's shadow, always just Natasha. Well, now I own her perfect day, And when the time comes, they'll finally see me. Your signature, then? He held out a pen. I signed with a flourish, feeling the weight of years of silence in that single action. Let the show begin, I murmured, handing him back the contract. Indeed. He filed it away carefully. Though I have to ask, what are you going to wear to the wedding? I smiled. Something unforgettable. You're going to give your mother a heart attack, Rosalie said, watching me flip through the racks at Nordstrom. A red dress to a wedding? Not just any red dress. I pulled out a sleek floor-length number with a dramatic back. The perfect red dress. The same shade as the Bellamy Estate's signature carpets, I notice. Pure coincidence, I said innocently, heading to the fitting room. My phone rang. Mom again. Third time today. I let it go to voicemail. You can't avoid them forever, Rosalie called through the fitting room door. The wedding's in 8 weeks. Watch me. I stepped out in the dress, and Rosalie's jaw dropped. Okay, that's... Wow. You look like you own the place, which you actually do. Ms. Rivera? A sales associate approached with a concerned look. Your mother's on the store phone. She says it's urgent. I sighed, taking the phone. Hi, Mom. Natasha, why aren't you answering your cell? We have an emergency. Simone's crying. What happened? The wedding planner quit. Something about creative differences. Please, we need your help. You're so organized, and you know how important this is to Simone. I caught Rosalie's eye in the mirror, and she shook her head in warning. Where are you now? I asked. At the venue. Mr. Dawson is being very accommodating, but I'll be there in 30 minutes. I hung up and quickly changed back into my clothes, purchasing the red dress before Rosalie could talk me out of it. This is a bad idea, she said as we left the store. You're getting too close to the fire. Sometimes you have to get burned to rise from the ashes. That's both dramatic and concerning. The Bellamy estate was chaos when I arrived. Simone sat in the grand hall, mascara running down her face, while my mother hovered anxiously. Caleb stood to the side, maintaining his professional facade, despite the obvious amusement in his eyes. Thank God you're here, Mom rushed over. We need someone who can take charge. What exactly happened? I asked, watching Simone dab at her eyes with an embroidered handkerchief. She wanted to change everything, Simone wailed. The flowers, the timing, the table arrangements. She said my vision was tacky. Caleb coughed suddenly, covering what sounded suspiciously like a laugh. I can help, I said carefully, but you'll need to work with the venue's requirements. Of course, Mom said quickly. Mr. Dawson has been very clear about the owner's specifications. The owner, Simone sniffed. Who is this person anyway, so controlling about their precious venue? I felt Caleb's eyes on me as I replied, someone who knows exactly what they want, I guess. Just then, my father and Uncle Douglas walked in, deep in conversation. Had to take out a second mortgage, Douglas was saying, but it's worth it for my little girl's special day. They stopped short when they saw me. Natasha? Dad looked surprised. What are you doing here? Helping, Mom jumped in. She's going to coordinate the wedding now that that horrible planner is gone. You? Simone's tone made the single word feel like a slap. But you've never even been to a proper wedding. I've been to plenty, I said evenly, including 3 here at the Bellamy estate. How would you know that? Mom asked. I follow their social media, I lied smoothly. Very closely. Well, Douglas said, clearly skeptical, as long as you understand this needs to be perfect, money's no object. Except for family vacations, I muttered. What was that? Nothing, just making notes. I pulled out my phone, pretending to type. Why don't we start with the basics? For the next hour, I listened to Simone's increasingly elaborate demands, knowing full well which ones would be quietly denied by the mysterious owner. Caleb occasionally caught my eye, his subtle head shakes or nods guiding my responses. And for the entrance, Simone was saying, I want doves released as I come down the grand staircase. No live animals, Caleb and I said simultaneously. Everyone stared at us. I mean, I quickly added, I've read that's one of the venue's policies. Correct, Caleb confirmed smoothly. Owner's orders. This is impossible. Simone stood up dramatically. Everything I want is either against policy or not allowed. Who is this owner? I demand to speak to them. Careful what you wish for, I whispered, too quietly for anyone to hear. The owner's decisions are final, Caleb stated firmly. But I assure you, Ms. Rivera, your wedding will be unforgettable. Looking at my family, my oblivious, self-absorbed family, I couldn't help but smile. Yes, I agreed. It certainly will be. The florist needs your signature on this, Caleb said, sliding a paper across his desk. And before you ask, yes, Simone already tried to change the arrangements 3 times this morning. I signed the form without looking. 6 weeks until the wedding, and I'd somehow become both the invisible coordinator and the secret venue owner blocking all of Simone's improvements. She called again about painting the gazebo pink, he added. Let me guess, for aesthetic harmony? Actually, she said it would pop better in photos. The door burst open, and Simone swept in, followed by her ever-present entourage. My mother, her mother, and 2 bridesmaids I'd never met. Oh! She stopped short. Natasha, what are you doing in Mr. Dawson's office? Going over the flower arrangements, I said, sliding the paper into a folder. Everything's on schedule. Speaking of schedule, Simone's eyes narrowed. Why wasn't I informed about the meeting with the florist? Because there wasn't one, Caleb intervened smoothly. Just routine paperwork. Now, what can I help you ladies with? The owner, Simone declared. We brought champagne. I thought perhaps we could persuade them to join us for a toast. I caught Caleb fighting back a smile. I'm afraid they're not available. Are they ever available? Simone's mother asked. It's rather rude, isn't it? Considering how much we're paying. My mother nodded in agreement. And after we canceled our vacation to afford this place. Mom, I warned, but she continued. I mean, the least they could do is meet with us once. Unless... She looked around conspiratorially. Are they some kind of celebrity? Is that why they're so secretive? The owner values their privacy, Caleb said diplomatically. But I assure you, they're very involved in ensuring every event here is perfect. Well, I think it's suspicious, Simone announced. Daddy says only people with something to hide act this mysterious. I stood up abruptly. I need some air. Oh, while you're up, Simone called after me. Could you check on the table linens? The sample they sent over was completely wrong. I walked out without responding, heading for my favorite spot, the hidden alcove in the library. To my surprise, Jude was there, staring out the window. Sorry, I said, turning to leave. No, wait. He looked exhausted. Can we talk? Actually talk? I hesitated, then sat in the window seat across from him. What's on your mind? Is this normal? All of... He gestured vaguely. This? The wedding drama? The money, the demands, the way everyone walks on eggshells around Simone. He ran a hand through his hair. Yesterday she cried for 3 hours because the shade of pink on the menus was wrong. And you're just noticing this now? I guess I never saw this side of her before, or maybe I didn't want to. He looked at me directly. How do you deal with it? Being treated like the family assistant? Before I could answer, voices approached. We both tensed. Just don't understand why Natasha's suddenly so involved, Simone was saying. She's never cared about weddings before. She's trying to help, dear, my mother replied, and she's doing a good job. Please, she's probably just jealous. You know she's never even had a serious boyfriend? And now she's managing my perfect wedding. It must be killing her. Their voices faded down the hallway. Jude looked mortified. I should... He stood awkwardly. Go, I finished for him. Your fiancé's waiting. After he left, I pulled out my phone and texted Rosalie. Need drinks, now. An hour later, I was at our usual spot, recounting everything to Rosalie. So even the groom is having doubts, she mused. This just keeps getting better. I almost told him right there, I admitted, about owning the venue. Why didn't you? Because I stirred my drink. Because when I do tell them, I want everyone to know at once. I want to see all their faces when they realize that just Natasha owns the place they mortgaged their house to afford. Speaking of which, Rosalie leaned forward, have you figured out exactly how you're going to do it? Actually, yes. I pulled out my phone and showed her the wedding schedule. See this spot here, where Simone insisted on having the owner thanked publicly? Oh, no. Oh, yes. I'll be introduced as the venue owner right after their first dance, in my perfect red dress. You're evil, Rosalie grinned. I love it. My phone buzzed with a text from Caleb. Simone's demanding to speak to the owner again, says she'll go to the media about our suspicious behavior if we don't comply. I showed Rosalie the message. Looks like my cousin's about to learn a valuable lesson about being careful what you wish for. To the mysterious owner, Rosalie raised her glass. To perfect timing, I clinked mine against hers, feeling the pieces of my plan falling perfectly into place. You're doing what? Caleb nearly spat out his coffee. At the wedding reception? It's poetic justice, I said, straightening a centerpiece on one of the sample tables. She wanted to meet the owner so badly. Natasha, this is a nuclear option. Have you really thought this through? Before I could answer, my father's voice echoed through the ballroom. There you are! I spun around to find him walking toward us, looking unusually serious. Dad, what are you doing here? Mr. Dawson, he nodded to Caleb. Mind if I borrow my daughter for a moment? Caleb excused himself, shooting me a meaningful look as he left. Something wrong? I asked, continuing to adjust flowers. That's what I wanted to ask you. Dad pulled out a chair and sat down. Your mother's worried. Says you've been distant, sarcastic, more than usual. I'm fine. Are you? Because I remember a time when you used to tell me things. He picked up one of the place cards. Like why you're really helping with this wedding. I froze. What do you mean? Come on, Natasha. You've hated event planning since that disastrous Sweet 16 party Simone made you organize. That was different. I was 17, and she blamed me when the DJ played the wrong song for her grand entrance. Exactly. So why put yourself through this again? I met his eyes. Maybe I've grown up. Maybe I'm better at handling things now. Or maybe you're planning something. The accusation hung in the air between us. For a moment, I considered telling him everything. About the venue, about the years of feeling invisible, about the revenge I'd carefully orchestrated. Instead, I said, I'm just trying to help the family. The family, he repeated slowly. The same family that canceled our vacation? Don't think I didn't notice how that hurt you. Did you? I couldn't keep the bitterness from my voice. Because you seemed pretty okay with it at the time. I wasn't.